Hello and welcome to episode number 8 in the Let's Build Shadowgate series. In the previous episode, we fixed a bug that we created while we were transitioning from screen to screen that kind of prevented our game from doing an inadvertent double click as we transitioned from the front door to the hallway. In today's episode, what we want to do is add the final screens that we're going to have. We're going to add game screen number 3, which is the coffin room with the Banshee, and then give the ability to the user to click on the Banshee to win the game. Of course, that's not going to finish our game. We want to add later some winning and losing conditions. We want to add maybe a little bit of an inventory, the ability to pick up items. All that is coming, but it would be, I think, in our best interest to finish the framework of the game right now and at least have a start-to-finish game that we can add features to. So that's going to be the purpose of episode number 8. I do realize that a real game is going to have more than 3 screens and take more than 10 seconds to complete, but this will at least give us the framework for a game that we can build on in the future and turn into something more. So let's go ahead and head over to Alice for episode number 8 as we finish the framework for our game. So here we are back in our Alice world, and I'm just going to hit play to make sure that my game is still working and really operates how I remember it. We still have the ability to open the door, we still have the ability to open the door in the hallway, and that's where we left it. Before we get started, let's head over onto properties and let's watch all of our variables so that we can keep track of them later on down the road. And let's get started by importing our final screen from the graphics pack, which is screen number 3. That's going to be the Banshee screen. In order to do that, I'm going to click on this door open, screen 2 door open, go to the properties and turn that is showing property to false. And then we'll head up to File, make a billboard, and we're going to use the screen 3. I have this here in the Shadowgate tutorial. It's going to be screen 3 Banshee Fight. And just as we've done with the other graphics, right-click on it, use the turn to face camera method, and then let's enlarge it so that it matches the size of all the other screens. So we're going to go to right about there, and we're going to move this screen up to about right there. Should be good. This is going to kind of constitute our boss fight. This Banshee is going to be our final bad guy, even though he's not in the real Shadowgate game. He's not much of anything. He's not really even a threat to the player. However, in our game, this is going to be our big bad guy. Now that I have him set up, let's go to my first method, which should be selected here, and make sure that when the game starts, the is showing property of the screen gets set to false over a duration of 0 seconds. So that as soon as we hit start, the screen will go blank and bring up the start screen. We can test that by hitting play, and we see that did work correctly. So now that we have that infrastructure set up, let's allow the user to click on the door to the hallway to enter this coffin room. We're going to need a couple things to do that, so we're going to head over to our world methods, and let's take a look at our click handler and our screen to handler. Now, in our previous episodes, we've created, we already know how to track if the user's clicked on the door, and we already have the structure put in place for the door to open and to affect the door to closed variable. So all we need to do here, which should be very simple, is add the do together statement here that will send the user to screen number 2. So if the user clicks on the open door in the hallway, then what we want to do is have that open door for screen 2 disappear. We want to turn it off, so we're going to set its is showing property to false over a duration of 0 seconds. And then we want our screen 3 to be set to true over a duration of 0 seconds. So we'll turn off the hallway and turn on the Banshee. We also need to use our world not clicked method. It's kind of the framework for preventing that bug that we talked about in the last episode. So if the user enters the next screen, then I know for a fact that the game has actually done something. So we're going to take not clicked and set its value to false over a duration of 0 seconds. And the last thing that we need in this do together block is to transition our game screen. Because we're going to a new game screen, I'm going to set this value to 3 and just kind of keep track either on a piece of paper or in your mind so that I know that this screen with the Banshee is considered game screen number 3. We're no longer in the hallway, which is screen 2, so we need this to transition to screen number 3. And if I've done this all correctly, when we hit play, we'll be able to test our program and enter the coffin room. So let's go up here to play. We transition, we open the door, and now we have the ability to open the hallway door, which is fantastic, but now we should be able to enter the Banshee room, which is correct. And I can see that the game screen has now transitioned to game screen number 3. So fantastic. We've got our game kind of working around here, and now we have the ability to get to the Banshee. Since we've now added a new screen, we're going to have to go to our click handler, and we're going to have a screen 3 handler that will handle all the clicks for this Banshee screen, and we need our click handler to be able to process clicks in game screen number 3. There's a couple things we need to do here. We're going to go to methods, and we're going to create a new method called screen 3 handler. This will be the method that handles everything on this screen number right here. And in the world click handler, we're just going to make a copy and change this to 3. So that now, if game screen 1 is active and the world is not clicked, we run the screen 1 handler. The screen 2 handler runs if the game screen is number 2 and the world isn't clicked. And if the world game screen number 3 is active and the world has not been clicked, we don't want to run the screen 2 handler again, we want to run the screen 3 handler. And so with that little bit of a change right here, we now have our click handler able to handle clicks on game screen number 3. Now if we head over to the game screen handler, the game screen 3 handler, we can start adding comments and building this. So this will handle all clicks on screen number 3, the coffin room with a Banshee. I want to be able to tell if the user has clicked on the Banshee or not, and so we're going to do this in the exact same way we handled the doors. We're going to use an if statement, and we're going to have 4 checks. So if true, logic and true, logic and true, and finally logic and true. This is going to be our placeholder to check the XY coordinate of the Banshee. And if I head into the game right now, I'm going to write down the top left and bottom right portions of the Banshee. And so I'm going to put my mouse right about here. I think that would be the top left of a bounding box for the Banshee. I can see that that X coordinate is 80 and the Y coordinate is 46. And then the lower right portion of the Banshee, which I'm going to call where my mouse cursor is right there, is going to be at the point 253, 266. So with those coordinates, I can now track to see whether or not the Banshee has been clicked on screen number 3. So now I'm going to add these into my if statement. So if X is greater than 80, and X is less than 253. So those are my 2 X values. And then I need to check and see if Y is greater than 46. And I need to make sure that Y is less than, and I think it was 266. Yep. So Y is less than 266. Keeping in mind, again, that these values will be different on your screen, so you need to kind of track those yourself. This right here should represent a click on the Banshee. And for now, I'm just going to create a new variable, a Boolean variable called Banshee clicked, and it will be set to a value of false initially. And this is just a test to make sure that this is working correctly. If the user clicks here, then I'm going to have Banshee clicked set its value to true over a duration of 0 seconds. And then I'm going to watch the Banshee clicked variable. Now I may or may not do something with this, but for right now this will allow me to see if my program is registering a Banshee click correctly. Because if the user activates this if statement, that variable should change to true. So let's enter our game, head to the Banshee screen, and I can see that Banshee clicked is set to false. When I click all around the world, Banshee clicked is still set to false, and if I click on the Banshee himself, this changes to true. So at the very least, I can look at this little block right here and say, okay, my program is adequately registering whether or not the Banshee has been clicked on. Now I just need the Banshee to do something. And for now, just to make the game's framework work correctly, we're going to say if you click on the Banshee, you've won the game. Let's go ahead and click on the Banshee screen, set its isShowing property to false, and from the graphics pack, we're going to make a billboard out of the You Win screen. So go to the graphics pack and find graphic You Win, and we'll have this turn to face the camera and enlarge it a little bit. Now I could have done this with 3D text, but since we kind of have a billboard theme going here, I'm just going to throw this on the screen. This will represent the end of the game here. So like I've done with all my other graphics, this in my first method, the You Win graphic has to be turned off when the user presses play to make sure that we're always starting at that start screen. And for right now, I'm actually going to turn this screen off and turn the Banshee back on. Now if I head over to the Screen To handler, in a Do Together block, I want to register whether or not the Banshee's been clicked, and if the Banshee has been clicked, then we're going to turn on the You Win graphic. So we're going to say graphic is showing set to true over a duration of 0 seconds. Now if the user clicks on the Banshee, we should have some sort of like winning condition. In addition, when we put the You Win graphic on, we're going to turn the Banshee screen off by setting its isShowing property to false over a duration of 0 seconds. Let's wrap this up by testing this and make sure that we can get through our entire game. So we hit play, we've got our start screen, we press start, we can open the door and enter the hallway, we can open the hallway door and enter the coffin room, and if we click anywhere out here on the screen, nothing happens, but if we click on the Banshee, we've won the game. Now, of course, we want to make the game a little bit more exciting. We want to add some more features, so we're definitely going to be doing that in the upcoming episodes. But right now, we do have the shell of a game. You could call this a completed game if you really wanted to, even though it's a fairly easy game. So that's where we're going to wrap up lesson number 8 right there with the completed framework for our Shadowgate game. But in the upcoming episodes, we're going to add some inventory items, the ability to maybe pick up a sword and determine whether or not you've actually killed the Banshee, and put in a losing condition so that it's possible for the user to lose the game as well. What we might also want to add to our game is the ability for the user to back up screens so that when they enter the hallway, they can still exit to the front of the castle, and when they enter the Banshee's room, they can head back to the hallway. So all of that will be upcoming in future episodes, but for right now, I think we're at a pretty good spot. I want to thank everybody for their support of the Let's Build Shadowgate series and the Alice tutorial series. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I will certainly help you out any way that I can. Until next time, thank you so much, and have a great day.